All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'll probably mess around for a minute or two arranging things, see if anybody shows up. Kind of a last minute announcement that I'm streaming tonight, but here I am, streaming tonight. So, let's see. Keeping an eye on things down here. Chime in when you get in, but for the sake of the viewing audience that will be watching this later, I I believe we have just finalized a deal, and I'm proud to announce that I will be performing an arrangement of Overwatch music at the Kit Kat Rivalry Weekend coming up next Saturday, a week from Saturday. Um, I'll be pushing it on all the social media channels, but it's kind of a big deal. We're gonna open. We're hired by the LA Valiant, and we're going to really pump up their entrance with a small ensemble of orchestral players and myself as a DJ keyboard player. Oh, look who's here. Raw Glambition, my lovely lady. Welcome to the chat room. It'll be, yeah, green screen action. That's right. I'm floating within Nuendo. And, if anybody else shows up, I'll make the announcement again. Just talking about the Overwatch League gig. Just got started talking about it. Yeah, look at you with the wings. Wings out! It is a Valiant, the Valiant are my employers on this particular excursion. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And right now, I'm in the middle of the boring part of it, where I put together the electronic backing tracks that I will be playing about half of, and some of which will be just performed by the computer, because it'll be very electronic, trance-like, if you will. Kind of a trance, progressive house sort of backing, with, of course, some guitar sounds, and a brass, and maybe a woodwind or two, and some percussion flanking me. It's going to be an interesting little bit of fun we're going to have with this thing. So, and I'm starting, though, by dissecting an arrangement of a track that's on the original Overwatch album called The World Could Always Use More Heroes. It's a long film score sort of piece for opening cinematic when the game launched, and we've made some edits. I've got a cut down version of it. I took it from 6 minutes down to 3, and I've made notes in this original export of the MIDI from the Sibelius file of the previously performed version of it. And so that's what we see here in purple. I've got all the tracks from the entire orchestra in folders, well, in one big folder. And the purple parts are the parts that I might be, those are the parts that I'm going to be using. I'm not going to probably use all of the instruments. Some of those are going to be covered live. I'm going to recreate what's necessary with electronic type sounds. And that's going to be that. And so I'm going to start off with this MIDI file. I'm going to start off just cleaning it out, deleting the things that I'm not going to probably use in my parts that I don't really need to reference at all because they're either doubled or going to be handled on the date. And all right. Well, we'll see you soon, Raw. But yeah, so I'm going to take each one of these parts in purple and export them individually, and then pull them into another Nuendo project that is actually locked up with samples. I have one computer that runs Nuendo, and another one that hosts my samples through Vienna Ensemble Pro. And I'll show you as much as I can of all of this. So, I guess without any further ado, I'm going to get right down to it. Let me just double check the chat and see who's here besides me. Skinny Seahorse, welcome. Yeah, I gotta get this window. It's a new computer I'm using over here to handle this thing. I could stand to make this a little better for me to see what's going on. Chime in when you show up, folks. All right, so down we go. All right, I don't think I'm going to need the woodwinds. I'm not going to try to recreate them. The strings do things that I'll probably turn into arpeggiated synths. The brass will be live, although I'll have some kind of synthesizer accompaniment, and I'll probably be playing it live on Roly synthesizer, a Roly keyboard, Seaboard. I'll show you some of that later once I get this arrangement a little bit better and I start practicing my parts, coming up with parts. I'll probably play some guitar parts, both leads and otherwise, on the GeoShred app on an iPad, and a couple of regular keyboards that I'll be doing regular keyboard stuff on. Yeah, we're going to see just how much I need to do live and how much we're going to have the computer handle. And we're going to have our first rehearsal on Saturday. But in the meantime, I got to clean this stuff up. I don't think I'm going to use any woodwinds. The parts are usually doubled. I'm going to just remove them. And I'll come back and put in trills if something's missing after the first rehearsal. We'll see how bare it is. And it won't be, I don't think. So, remove all those. Bye-bye. This was for an expanded ensemble performance. The Game Music Ensemble at UCLA, which is this giant orchestra, and key players of that will be involved here. Percussion, I guess I'll have that still around. I'll probably need to reference that here and there. But Fender Rhodes, piano, organ, pedals, I don't know about that. Looks like it's just bass notes. I'm going to probably get all that stuff from the contrabass and the tubas and whatever else is low. Yeah, from what I know, it will be unnecessary. I can always come back to it if I need it, but I think I'm going to just make my life easy and have less tracks to deal with. Remove these guys. You know, I should actually save as, because as you see up here, I've got the Overwatch League MIDI only for reference. Don't save over. So, yeah, I'm going to save as. And what do we call it? Overwatch MIDI cleanup. Cool. All right, we're going to keep the choir around. I'll probably need to use that. Harp, I don't know. Let's see. Bang, bang. And then at the end, big glisses. I don't know. If I feel like I'm missing it, I'll put it in. No electric guitar, actually. Acoustic guitar, not any of the sections we're using. Laser harp is a special instrument that will not be on the date. And I won't need to cover it either. I'm going to be covering it with electronica. That's what we used to call EDM, electronica. Now electronica means something else, like electro. Used to all be called techno. It's funny how things change. It was disco and then it was techno, and the two were pretty related. You could probably say, even though you might start some fights by saying it, that it's all still disco. It all owes a debt to it. I don't care who you are. That's the truth. So, sorry about that, if that offended you. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. Now, one thing. You see up here all these tempo changes, because this was for a film score originally. Tempo changes out the wazoo. I'm going to take them out because I've edited this thing down to just 2 tempos. And, well, maybe I'll put the next tempo in here where it goes. That one is going to be 140. And that's going to be what everyone is from that point on. So, deletimus, maximus. And now back to here. This one I happen to know because I remember. Come on. 122. All right. I might go ahead and change what needs to be changed. Might be easier to do it now. Let's see. For one thing, a lot of this is getting deleted. I'm going to go ahead and make this gone, because this section skips to bar 65. Unfortunately, if I do that, I don't know what happens if I do this. If I do that, if I was to actually cut that out, it might mess up the bars heading forward, the signatures anyway. So I would at least need to. No, I'm going to keep it like this. I'll just pop it out like that. All right. First part of the MIDI. Excuse me. Select the section. Get the locators around it. In Nuendo or Cubase, I believe the standard command is you just select it and you hit P, and then it goes to parts. So, if for some reason the locators were elsewhere, and I wanted to put them around this thing, I hit P. Boom. Selection of part. There it is. Selected. And we go to exports, MIDI file. Yeah, I'm going to leave it. See, in the new version, this is not, that 5/4 bar is not there. Geez, is this the right way to do this? Yeah, it's a 4/4 bar. So I'm going to try it. Let's just see what happens. We'll start with this one. If I screw it all up, I'll go back to the save. So I'm going to save now before I do anything drastic. And I'm going to zoom in. Yeah. And left locator on 8.4. Oops. 8.5, because it's not going to be 5/4 anymore. Right. 9. We just want to completely remove an entire beat from the thing. I'm going to select all of them, basically. I think that shortens all the parts. Yes, it does, even though I think there's still notes hanging over. Let's see. Oh, I'd have to show you the other screen. Here's both screens. I've got, two monitors because everything is so big. And yeah. So as you see, we took that out, but the notes are still kind of there, right? Even though we moved the parts over, the notes still are there. If I really want to be thorough, I've got to do this one at a time. I've got selected the mode of operation where it only works on the selected part. I can change that. I've got a key command for it. I don't know if it's the standard one. So if I tell you that it's Control C, that's probably wrong for you, but it's right for me. You can customize these programs with your own key commands. And if you go from one program to another and you've remembered your key commands as being whatever they are, you can hang on to them. No. All right. I hope this is the right way to go. I should just select these guys. I don't even know what happened there. I've got a lot of parts selected. And all because I'm afraid to cut it all the way. Well, I've pretty much manually done everything that's supposed to be done. Those parts were muted anyway. This guy, screw him. You can see, I believe that's a trill that you're looking at right there. It's kind of neat. Sibelius spits out trills when you put trill, on the score page, and you export a music XML or a MIDI file. It goes ahead and puts one in, and so that's what you're looking at there. Sounds a little funny, when you do the MIDI takedown or the MIDI mock-up. You're going to have to look at those things. They're going to sound goofy, and then you're going to have to move that note to a trill sample unless you've got all your key switches all put together. Key switches, and in Cubase or Nuendo, what they call note expression. You can have your entire template all set up to respond to note expression, and those things might actually pull up the right patch over there and move over to the right patch. But I suppose if you've already put the trill on it, well, maybe not. So, well, here goes nothing. If I take out this 5/4 bar, it'll be a 4/4 bar, and there. But we still have to move everybody over. So, shift click will, shift double click anyway, will select everything. So I should have selected all the folder tracks that have everything in it. And then I just want to move it over one beat. So I'm going to set the snap value to a quarter note. And hopefully that just did it. Just wanted to keep my eye on it. I think I moved it too far. Yep, that's where it's supposed to be. See, I've already worked on this arrangement. I know it pretty well. I know that's what I needed to do there. So that's cool. Here we skip to 85. Well, it was 85, but now it's 65, right? And it's all probably off by a beat. Kind of looks like it. Let's select that tempo indication, 140. It's at 65.2. That's the second beat of bar 65. We want it to just be 65. So there's that. And Eventually, I'll get this streaming setup going where you can see what my hands are doing because I've got different controllers down here. Some of them specific to Steinberg products. They spit out just general type MIDI information, but they're already mapped out to just plug in and go for Nuendo or Cubase. Very handy. It like takes the controls out of the computer and puts them under your hands, so you can grab a knob and move around. But you can't see the knob I'm grabbing. Same knob. Well, I don't know. I'll show you that when you can actually see it. But yeah, I've got transport controls. I've got EQs. I got channel controls. Different selecting things. Different macros on different buttons. I've got a nice iPad setup that has a lot of my favorite key commands and functions mapped to buttons where I just push it instead of having to mouse around. It's a beautiful thing. Let's go back to the main arrange screen here. Yeah, because I was basically showing you things on the wrong screen. Ooh. So, back to the fun. This one, actually, I don't even think we exported the last one, did we? We got it all ready to export, didn't export it. So here we go. Selecting just the section there. We go to, exports, MIDI file. And we're going to call it right. Make a new folder. Export of sections. We'll call this the intro. Probably. Intro. OWL meaning Overwatch League. That's a nice, easy way to see it. Export options. Export inserts. That's a good one to keep ticked anyway. Markers, sure. It's just going to say intro in this case. Locator range, definitely. I don't want to export the whole thing, just the parts I want right there. If I'd had delays, I don't know if I'd include them or not, because we're going to set those delays later based on whichever sound sounds fast or slow. Different samples speak faster or slower. You set a delay sometimes over here. But yeah, we don't have to worry about it now. This is just straight up MIDI. So off it goes, the intro. And of course, I'm going to have to sort through all these things because I think the actual orchestral parts are, well, they look, sometimes there's 2 lines in them. And so the trumpets have 2 lines, the horns might have 4. And it's all consolidated into one track, as you can see there. So I'm going to have to go through. There's probably doubled notes, so it's going to be a little bit of editing to do. But, I really just need the main things, the main gist of things. I'm going to look at the things. I'm going to move the big melodies up. The choir, I'm probably going to have to use exactly the choir. But, yeah, I think the choir's all split out, though. And I'll just be able to copy them into my... Usually I do choir samples in male and female, separated by male and female. That took a while, right? It was a long MIDI export for not that much information, I thought. I think the fact I'm running OBS over here at the same time and having it connected to a VN Ensemble thing is making it a little bit laggy. It's definitely not as snappy as it was. All right, second section. This one, I believe, is straight up in 4. Let's just listen to it. I wonder if, oh, nope. I don't think things quite panned out here down in the MIDI. I mean, down in the track. I think if I was to play this, yeah, that's not it. It's probably this over here. Pretty sure that goes over there. This one's the old tempo. That's not going to work. Well, I can't just check it against the audio. I'm really just kicking out the MIDI at this point. So, speed up to 140 for post fanfare. Yep. Skip to build 2 at 89. Well, it's not going to be 89, but that's what it is here. I'll just select it and give it a name. Yeah, I think there's like 4 bars of electronica in front of this. But anyway, you don't need to know that. This is going to be a kind of a boring one because I'm doing things that we can't even double check. It's some work I've previously done to get us to this point, but you know, we can hang at least. So, Super Spiffy 13, welcome. Late to the party. The announcement is I'm going to be performing in the Kit Kat Rivalry Weekend Overwatch League tournament a week from Saturday. And this is working on the arrangement for that thing. It's going to be me and a handful of musicians. When the LA Valiant walk out, performing a fun arrangement of some Overwatch music from the soundtrack, but kind of pumped up in a trance, progressive house, EDM kind of way. So that's the big announcement. And for the next week or so, I'm going to be doing a lot of work on that. I'm going to be doing it on Twitch as much as I can. I'll be performing it too. I'll be doing some practicing, trying out some different things with the different controllers I've got. And I'm going to be playing some Overwatch too. Why not? Stay in the mood. Stay right there. I might, who knows? I might do some commentary on some Overwatch games too. We're going to get all Overwatchy for the next week or so, week and a half, 2 weeks around here. So that's what it is. Thanks for coming out and hanging. All right, we're exporting a piece of the arrangement that I'm going to use and put into electronics right now. We'll call it Owl. Probably just call it 2. This one was the intro. This one is the, I don't know, beat, kicks. I should probably just call it Owl 2 as well. Now, I don't know why Steinberg does this, because they always put MIDI as an extension. And, you know, why not just keep it at mid? Yes, we know it's a MIDI file. Maybe you want to tell us that. On the Macintosh, it understands it. But if I was going to send a .midi file to a friend who didn't happen to use Cubase or Nuendo, and they try to import that MIDI file, that, I don't know, maybe 50-50 chance it's going to recognize it off the bat. So you'll either have to rename it yourself or just tell whatever program you're putting it in, oh yeah, it's okay, it's okay, it's just a Cubase thing. Uh, so, come on, Steiny, get that together. What's the point with that? There's probably a point. I've never asked him. It's a small pet peeve that barely ever comes up. But, it does. Sometimes. Yes, Super Spiffy. It is awesome. It's kind of the thing I was trying to work towards with my DJ act ever since I started. My idea was to bring, well, I don't know, to do kind of a video games live for the club, but also to do very special events for eSports. And this is going to be the first realization of that dream. So I'm really excited about it, man. It's been 2 years in the making, and we are off to the races at last. I'm going to take a quick look at this over here. I do want to give a quick shout out to a couple of my other friends out here. Skinny Seahorse, of course. Only Link. Lurks. Jolie Legal. Commander Roots. Welcome out, folks. We're trying to have a good time out here. And I hope you are having a good time with me. So, back to work. Next section. We're calling it Build 2. I think everything's right here. I fixed the tempo. I think it's in 4 all the way. And we'll just export it. Oh, not that way. That would be audio. Export MIDI file. I'll call this one Owl 3. Build 2. Yes, we will play at GDC one of these days. One of these days. We'll do that. Or something bigger. Who knows? Something big at GDC. Who knows? Well, yeah, thanks for coming out and hanging. It's going to be a little bit boring at first. And then, I just figured I'd make the announcement and do a little work because I got off of streaming a little bit. I get in and I get out, but I want to be in a lot more these days. And also, I've been juggling wrestling with the green screen situation. I know music tech software like the back of my hand and everything. I've been doing it for a really long time, and I know a lot about a lot. But now I got to be a video producer too. I got to produce television while I'm producing music simultaneously. I don't know. It's it's a brand new world, and I'm jumping into it, but it's a giant can of worms. You get the green screen, it's like, hey, that looks great except for that part, and so this is as dialed in as I have it right now. Ultimately, I'll get a little more dialed in, so when I go to point to something, my hand doesn't get cut off. But for right now, it's just the way it's set up. So I'll try not to point as much, I guess, for the next few days. All right, so that's build 1. That's build 2. We skip ahead to this one. what do we got going on here? 140 section needs transposed, right? Main payoff to be repeated, and then skip to 182. All right, so this section does get repeated in my arrangement. That's the main riff right there. Da, 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 da. Fantastic riff. All right, so so here's the thing. This particular one is in kind of the wrong meter. It's in 4. I don't know why I put it that way, but it should be in 6. Or it should be 4 plus 2. I don't know. So I'm going to change it to 6 there. And then I'm probably going to take out this part here. We're going to see how it looks. Because it should be pretty much in 6 the whole way through this thing, I think. We'll just look at the horn part. Come on. I should switch over to editor screen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 1, 2. Right. So that's all it. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's how long I hold it to. Right, perfect. And then it repeats. Yes, the whole thing's in 6. All righty. Put that back there. Yeah, we'll just put it there. Put her there, pal. And go back to the screen. There's like one hit missing. Doesn't matter. Select it. Ooh. That's not right. Select this. Export MIDI. Got it. Export MIDI file. Owl. 4. Main riff. Let's call it a main theme. It's not just a riff. It's one of the best themes in games today. Thank you, Neil Acree, for that amazing theme. I'm never going to get tired of it. Wings out. La 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 la. Probably should have restarted my computer before I did this. I was back and forth with a lot of different programs, hooking up a lot of different hardware. There's probably memory leaks. That stuff still happens, you know. Used to happen a lot. Used to be a lot worse. Memory leaks back when there was virtual memory and less than a gig of actual RAM. Good times, the 90s. We thought we had it good then, and we did. But boy, do we have it better now. Moore's Law, don't you know? Bad PC. All right. And the end. All right. Here's one thing I got to do. I got to look at this. Make sure this is right. It's right ish. I'm looking at here. I'll let you guys look at what I'm looking at. It's the horn part, and I'm making sure that the signatures are right. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, I missed some of the. It's in 4 here, but it says it's in 3 because I did some deleting and something didn't get done right. So I think it's just all in 4. It would appear. Yeah, I think. So let's just get rid of this and then look at it. Da, 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, da, da, 1, 2. All right, so I played it a lot slower. I made it. Let's make sure there's a 4-4 there. And they're telling me there's a 3-4 over here. I think that's not true. Da, 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 done to 1, 1 and 2, da, 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 2, da, 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 da. Two, one, and I might have stretched this out a little bit more. I did it with audio. I didn't do it with. Yeah, I'll have to double check that. I'm just going to export it like that, but I'm going to change the tempo to 70 because that's half of 140, which we were just in. So, close enough. Going back to the other screen. We want to change the tempo here. Oops. We want to change the tempo there. I just inserted that while you weren't watching. Used to be 140. We're going to make it 70. That way it's halftime. Sweet Commodore 64 with this power 64 KB of RAM. Well, I started with a Commodore 64 too back in high school in the 80s. I didn't even like that computer then. I had a tape drive, played some games on it. Dad told me, son, you learn how to program this thing. You can write your own ticket. And so I sat down to try to learn how to program that thing. Programmed the synth line from Duran Duran's Save a Prayer till the morning after, and had it print the title up on the screen. Took me all afternoon when I could just go in there and play it with my hand, one hand, on the Roland Juno 60 that was paying off slowly but surely. So it's like, all right, no thanks on the computer programming. he was right. I mean, you can write a certain amount of your own tickets as a crackerjack programmer, but man, I hate it. So, yeah, no thanks. Owl 5. Big and big, slow, and all right. Off it goes. Slowly, but surely. Get a faster computer, and don't call me Shirley. Oh, Airplane, the funniest movie in the top 10 funniest movies of all time. Some of the best quotes, some of the best scenes, product of the times, and yet timeless. So there will be a painstaking process of loading these things back in to a bigger project that has my entire orchestral template loaded in it and ready to be played. And I wonder how that's going to affect playback, trying to OBS this shit at the same time. But we'll find out. I'll try it out. I'll get the best thing going I can. I might have to do a certain amount of preliminary work, but I might be able to do some kind of third computer capture or another. Be slightly delayed. I don't know. We'll figure out something. I want you in on the process. I want to show you guys what I'm doing here, how I do it, and have some friends around while I do it. Especially this part. This is like the boringest part of it. So thanks for hanging with me. All right, so that's about it for that one. I'm going to save that as MIDI cleanup and get out of it. And then I'm going to play you. I'm going to play you the scratch version. It's like the proof of concept version, and it also happens to have a scratch video thrown together hastily on her way out the door by our own Raw Glambition. If she doesn't mind, I'll be playing that directly. So here's the rough version of what all that stuff is going to sound like, with a rough version of the electronics that will be underneath it.
Look at this team. We're gonna do great.
Victory!
go. It's gonna be like that, but better. With me jumping up and down and playing half of that stuff and maybe a couple other things, and brass and percussion and screaming fans and better visuals. Yeah, that was so that's where we're going. That's the proof of concept idea, and that's kind of it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a stream right now because I'm going to have to load up a few other things and get things ready before I can show you the other stuff. It's going to be I don't know. I gotta probably have my computer at its full capacity before and at least get it up and running before I start sharing it, or it'll load forever. But yeah, so I'm going to take a little bit of a moment here to say thanks to everyone and comment on whatever. Well, yeah, we got some Overwatch fans there, I do believe. I can tell by the icons. So thanks for coming out and hanging, folks. I'm going to give special shouts out to everyone who showed up. That's Angelo Fight, Commander Root. Is it Jolie Legal or Joe Legal? Lurks. Only Link 31, Skinny Seahorse, and Spiffy Andy. And always the lovely Rog Lambition. You should give her a follow, guys. She's fun to watch too. She helped me out with those visuals in about 15 minutes. As she was walking out the door, I grabbed her by the arm and said, "Hey, could you do this quick thing for me?" So, yeah, we'll see some more of that as it goes. But thanks for coming out, folks. I'm going to call this stream, but I think we're going to be streaming every day until this show, and we're going to be streaming about the show. So tune in, watch for me on Twitch, on Twitter, and on Facebook. I'll be announcing the streams there, maybe with a little more notice. Maybe I'll even come up with a precise time, but things are a little crazy right now with school just getting back in session and regular schedules only now being figured out in my life anyway. So, yeah, I'll let you know when it's going to be regular. Otherwise, it'll be last minute. Set yourself up to receive the notifications, and you shall have them. Thanks for coming out again, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow.